It's the Fellowship of the Geek Show, a weekly podcast about comics, the comic book industry, and other geek pop culture. Music courtesy of Mandy the Martyr. And now, on with the show!
Hey everybody, it's the Fellowship of the Geeks podcast. My name is Thomas Chick, and joining me for this episode is Mike Marlowe.
Hey gang.
Les Webster.
Hello all.
And Liz Newman.
Hello everybody.
How are you guys doing?
Awesome.
Okay.
Pretty good.
So convincing. Yes. Awesome. Hope everybody out there is doing okay. So, what's been going on in your corner of the galaxy?
Well, I'm cheating again, for reasons explained earlier. Last week reviews didn't happen again, so the two books I had it narrowed down to were both image books, and they're both number ones, of course, because I like reviewing number ones, because it's a nice. I like to think it helps get things off on the right foot. Find interesting stuff that way. The first one is The Dead Hand. This is a book by Kyle Higgins and Stephen Mooney. And it is... I only want to describe them both of these briefly because they're actually kind of similar in a way. This is the one that's more of a spy type story. It's centered on a guy who was a spy at the end of the Cold War, and stuff from back then is flaring up in his life again now. So, kind of an interesting throwback thing going on there. The other one is called Crude. This is Steve Orlando and Gary Brown, and this is my instinct is to call this a crime book, but it's kind of not really. It is set in Russia, and a former, not entirely sure what to call the guy, I don't know, he was kind of an enforcer type. I guess that's why I think of it as a crime story, is because he was kind of an enforcer. But his son went off to work in an oil field in a distant part of Russia, and comes back dead. And Dad suspects foul play, so he volunteers on the same duty to go find out what the hell's going on. And so I expect it will be a fun little violent little story. Both of those, like I said, both those are image books, The Dead Hand and Crude. Check them out.
Cool.
Yeah, Crude caught my eye. I didn't pick one up, but maybe I need to go back and grab that.
Yeah, it looks pretty gritty even from right off the bat. Right up front, it starts off pretty. I could see you liking it for sure.
Dun-dun-dun. All right.
Well, my week has been transport, and that's about it. Not to any weather that's much better than what you guys have got in Dallas area, but it's time to see what's going on out here, out west. So it's nothing to brag about today.
No, but it is still Hawaii, dude. Come on.
Right. I know he said out west like it was like Western County or something. I don't think
West
there's
Texas.
too many cowboys there.
But they got all the pineapple you can eat, that's for sure.
Sure.
Yep, that I do like. And macadamia nuts.
Well, there you go.
Yep. Okay, Liz?
Well, I've just been kind of reading. Well, I went and picked up my stuff And I had
Yay.
forgotten. Yeah, yay! I'd forgotten I picked up the Superman anniversary hardcover book,
Mm-hmm.
and that's been really nice. Some really nice stories, artwork inside of there. But I also caught up on Jimmy's Bastards, which a good friend recommended that to me, and I'm glad he did because it's been a really good story and kind of crazy at times, which I like. Kind of reminds me of Archer, the cartoon guy. Just kind of the playboy, crazy, not too smart, but he works in a bind.
Yeah.
So that one's been really interesting. But I know I said it once, and I'll say it again. I'm really liking Kirkman's new Oblivion song. So if you guys have not picked that up, you need to. The story's getting really, really good. And it's only on 2 issues. So go get them.
Yeah, this is the time to pick that one up. Get it when it's new.
Yep. I think it's definitely going to be one of his hits for sure.
Well, and the thing about that series, they overprinted the first issue, and once those are all gone, that is it. They're not doing any other printings like other books or other publishers have done. So, I mean, if you're on the fence, now it's time to get off the fence and pick up a copy.
Yep.
Because once they're gone, they're gone.
They're gone, yep. And of course, Sunday night, just so you guys know, my Walkers Anonymous classes are working. Sunday night was the finale of Walking Dead, and I did not see it. It's on my DVR, all sad and lonely, so.
If you're not watching it, why are you even DVRing it? It seems like a
Habit.
waste of space.
Yeah. I've got 2 DVRs in the house, so I've got like 1,200 hours or something I can record, so,
Still.
Yeah. But I'll eventually watch it. It's just they broke my heart, and I don't know. You know how in real life, like TV's fake life, but in real life when someone upsets you, and it's like you don't even care at that point if they're right, you just don't even want to hear anything else they have to say. You're done. You said what you needed to say, I got what I needed to get, you're done. So, I'm in my breakup phase with Walking Dead. I'm not returning their phone calls.
You're not exactly deleting their messages either, though.
Right.
True.
Yeah, you got to leave them on the line dangling.
No, not really.
Well, it's kind of like the smoking thing. It was hard to quit cold turkey. At least I know it's there.
Well, all you had to do was jump on social media, because that's all the talk was Sunday night.
Yeah.
Well, this is what happened. I'm like, guys, the show just ended 2 minutes ago.
Yep.
And I know I've beat this drum before. It's just so aggravating that whatever, and it's not just comic shows. It's basically any kind of popular show.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as it's over on the East Coast, there's all these posts on social media going, here's what happened in this episode, and here's our review, or here's our analyst, and all this, and I'm like, oh my god. And
AMC
people
is bad about doing it too. Right before Beth died, one of the biggest deaths of the season, they had the promo of Daryl carrying her out of the building to where before the episode even played, we all knew she died. And it's kind of like, dude,
Whoops.
we had hope. So they kind of trolled their own viewers there.
well, that's just piss poor editing on whoever put the commercial together.
Yeah,
So.
That one was bad. Kind of a sucker punch to the gut. Because I liked Beth. She was one of the good ones.
One of the good dead ones.
One of the good dead ones now, yep.
I also picked up the 80 Years of Superman trade hardcover, and it was fun to read that. I know I was talking to Les a little bit about it. One of the stories that was in there was one that I've always been curious to read, so it was kind of cool that was in there. And it was mainly because of the cover. I had seen the cover hundreds of times. And I don't remember what year but this was, but it was certainly 50. It had to be early 60s. 61, somewhere around there. Because the whole premise is they made Superman a recipient of This Is Your Life episode. And on the cover, he's being congratulated by Clark. And you're going, of course, there's this, who is this shaking Superman's hand and that kind of thing, And then you start reading the story, and of course, you're reading his thought balloons, and he's going, okay, how am I going to do this? How am I going to be here as Clark and as Superman, especially with Lana and Lois plotting to expose him by somehow obtaining this device that detects if something mechanical, so whether or not, like a robot shows up as a duplicate of either Superman or Clark. I'm like, I need to go back and read this and to see if I missed that part. I was like, how in the name of God did they get a contraption like this? Because this is something they could feel. But
seems a bit much, yes.
Well, I mean, this is Silver Age. This is pretty much standard operating procedure, right, Les?
Yeah, it's kind of the whole atomic age thing going on. So.
Well, I'm just talking about just the whole goofy.
It almost fell into the imaginary story with DC.
It's just like this is so ludicrous of a story that it's kind of a fun story, but you're just going, this is absolutely stupid. What am I reading? And then at the reveal at the end, you're going. When I read it, I was like, are you freaking kidding me? And I don't know if I want to spoil it or not, but y'all let me know if you want me to spoil it for you. I've already spoiled it for Les, but I'm just
don't let them figure it out.
Okay, well, no, let them pick it up and read it.
Yep.
But I mean, it was, when I finished reading it, I'm like, yeah, that's the Silver Age for you. I mean, it was fun,
yeah.
But you're just going, oh my God, this is just so ludicrous. But okay.
But what I wanted to see from that book, and I have mine ready for pickup, is the story with Brainiac. When Superman first meets Brainiac.
Yeah, Brainiac's first appearance is in this book. And
this is not the TV's version. This is not the Legionnaires version. Nothing like that. This is a ruthless collector. This is the collector before Marvel had its collector. So this is really interesting. This is the Brainiac I want to see more of. And being from Kalu, he may play an important part in something that's coming up for DC. We can only hope.
Well, Brainiac's part of the No Justice that's coming up, so that could be part of it. Who knows? it would be nice to see him a little bit more on the forefront. It would be nice to see some of the other classic villains kind of come back, but that seems to be the way they're going right now.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I don't have a problem with that. I mean, some of the newer guys and the ones that have been around for a few years, it's kind of cool. It's great to see them, but it's kind of nice to see some of the ones that have not been visible for several years kind of come back and be a threat again. It's one of the things, speaking about kind of being nostalgic and looking back, some of the stuff's been going on in the Batman books, especially the most recent one where I don't know if you guys have read it, but there was a lot of flashbacks in it with while Selena was trying to figure out what her wedding dress was going to be, and all the flashbacks had her in the different costumes dating back to the 40s up until her current Catbird costume, and that was kind of cool to see, to acknowledge all the different outfits that she wore, because that's the first time a lot of those costumes have been seen in 20 or 30 years at least. So I thought that was neat.
Cool. So they're doing their homework, those creators.
Cool. Okay. We do have an announcement to make, but we'll save that toward the end of the show, so stand apprised of that. But before we get into our topic this week, we need to thank the fine folks at Things from Another World for being a sponsor of the Fellowship. And right now, in addition to their awesome deals such as 40% off on comics, statues, toys, and merchandise, and 30% off pre-order manga titles, and 50% off Nick and Dent comics, they are running a awesome deal of free shipping of orders of $40 or more on in-stock comics and graphic novels. And this is good through May 31st. So if you need any more information on how you can qualify for the free shipping or whatever deals that they're currently run, just go to our website, www.thefellowshipofthegeeks.net, and click on our sponsors tab, and we'll have all the information you need. And there's also be links there, so just click on those links. That'll take you to Things from Another World, and that lets them know that we sent you their way, and have some fun and get some great deals. And hey, free shipping is always good. Okay, it is that time again. It's time to start looking at the summer movie schedule. And we're doing this a little bit early because, the way things have been going the last few years, the movie season kind of starts at the 1st of May, but one particular movie has decided to move up a little early and start up April 27th, and you out there probably know which film I'm talking about here. Has to do something about some group of heroes and some kind of gauntlet and some kind of war, and it takes forever or infinity or whatever you want to call it.
I thought The Incredibles 2 didn't come out till mid-May.
June.
Oh, June.
Yeah.
We'll get
Close,
to that.
but no,
Hey, and that was my pick.
We'll get there, Les.
We'll get to that.
So we figured what we do, because we've done this previous couple years, just kind of go over the list and kind of make our picks of which ones we were kind of really interested in checking out and discuss them. And who knows, maybe we might pick a film that you're interested in, or hopefully we've picked one that you hadn't thought about or hadn't heard about and might want to check it out. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start up with May. Since May is now the start of the summer season, movie season, who would like to go first with one of their picks?
I'll kick off for a change. I'm excited about Deadpool 2. I think the first one came along and it surprised everyone. It was our first R-rated superhero movie. So Deadpool 2 has a lot of big shoes to fill, and I hope they do it. But if anybody can, I think that Ryan Reynolds will be able to. So that one is May 18th. You guys don't like the Merc with the mouth?
I'm not a fan, but I'm debating on whether I should correct you or not. Blade was actually the first comic book R-rated film.
You're absolutely correct. Yep. My son would kick my butt for that one because he loved all of those.
They were mostly good.
Right.
Oddly enough, the one with Ryan Reynolds in it might actually not have been the good one, but anyway, we won't step on people's opinions or anything.
I like your pick. I'm not a fan of the comic, but the movie was pretty self-deprecating, and that's what appealed. The Merc with the mouth, as you say, which I don't understand because originally in the comics he was not able to speak. But you get around that.
Right. I know some pretty clever hand signs.
And Reynolds really does pull it off. I was surprised after the first movie that he was capable of doing so. I knew he was a good comedic actor.
Right.
Yeah.
But to be able to keep punching the line even ever so softly as you go through this, I thought it was, the first one was well done. It's going to be a really big shoe to fill, but I've got a feeling that they're going to write it so it can be done.
Yeah.
Unlike his other 2 superhero movies, or 3 superhero movies.
Right. We won't talk about those, though.
Yeah, we're not, there's the one we're not talking about, and then, yeah.
Although he played those roles very well, he was just given a crappy story to act to, so.
In Green Lantern, I will say yes. In Blade, I will say it was a combination.
Blade Trinity was just bad all the way around.
Yeah.
And the third one was when he played Deathstroke, Deadpool the first time. That movie
Origins.
for...
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Origins?
X-Men Origins.
Origins, yeah.
Okay.
See, isn't it crazy that I don't read a lot of Marvel, but I love their movies? I'm jealous of their cinematic universe, you know. I wish we DC fans had that.
Well, you're not alone in both cases. People fall in love with the Marvel universe, and DC followers would love to have some of that magic for themselves.
Yep. And, you know, I don't know if it's because maybe I don't know a lot of the backstory to the Marvel movies that I can actually sit down and enjoy them, to where, like, DC, it's kind of like, oh, that's not right. That's so not canon. And I wind up tearing the movie apart in my head because maybe I know the story too well or too close to the story, you know. So I don't know. Maybe that's why we don't enjoy them that much. Or me, at least.
I'm the same way.
Okay. Mikey, do you have a pick or two for May?
Oh, sure. I got stuff.
You got stuff?
I will briefly throw out one that I had no idea was happening, and I'm not sure that I care, but it just struck me as odd. They're remaking Overboard. Were you aware of this?
No,
Yes.
I was not. I missed that.
They have remade. They have remade Overboard. I mean, they have done it. I can't. I shouldn't say they are doing it. It's done. It comes out May 4th, and it comes out here in a couple of weeks. So yeah, they remade Overboard, and I'm like, I never gave a shit about the first one. Apparently, 30 years on, they decided it needed to be remade. I don't know. Whatever. But okay, so that's actually not my pick. I just thought it was interesting. The one that if I was going to break down and go see a movie, which we all know how likely that is, is a movie called Bad Samaritan.
David Tennant.
This is a thriller starring David Tennant. And unless I am mistaken, he's probably playing the wealthy guy, who apparently has someone kidnapped or something in his house. I don't know. It's a little.
Yeah.
The description here is a little vague, and doesn't actually mention him other than he stars in it. But yeah, this sounds like an interesting kind of a dark thing going on.
According to IMDb's description, which this happened to be one of my picks as well, so
Cool.
is a pair of burglars stumble upon a woman being held captive in a home they intended to rob.
Mm-hmm. So he's probably holding her captive.
Yeah, that's my guess.
So he's like the Purple Man all over again.
Yeah, I mean, he's been around a while, and yes, he's probably still best known for Doctor Who, but to see him do something that dark would be really cool.
Yeah.
Well, in Jessica Jones, he was the Purple Man, and that was kind of like right after Doctor Who. So to see him step into this like nasty, gritty role that he was in Jessica Jones, it was really good. So I think he could play a psycho very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think from this write-up that he is one of the burglars, or he is the captor?
He's the captor.
I think he's the captor.
Sure he's the captor.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not sure why we're pronouncing it that way, but that's okay.
I did it because he did it. So.
That's what I say. I just copied the way
we
it
all
was
just
said.
followed suit. It's pretty weird, honestly.
Well, I'm wearing a pinstripe three-piece with vest.
Well, okay,
What kind of suit are you wearing?
that explains it entirely. You have to pronounce it that way if you're wearing that. Totally.
Okay, so you believe that he may be the captor on this, and if he is, he turns and saves her from the robbers?
No, he'll probably
he's
go after the robbers.
So they won't take her away.
So they won't.
That's what I'm saying.
Or report the fact that he's holding. So, yeah, he'll go after the burglars. So that's kind of I'm thinking.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think so too.
Yes, this was one of my choices. When I first heard about this, I was like, ooh, this could be really good.
Yep. I mean, it could really suck too, but we're going to be positive and think it could be really good.
True. Mm-hmm. So I guess with that, I got to pick the other elephant in the room, and that is Solo, a Star Wars story. Comes out May 25th.
Mm-hmm. It sure does.
I'm interested in seeing this film. I feel a little bit better considering what I've been seeing. The trailers have been good, but there's just been so much stuff going on behind the behind the scenes, the director change, the scuttlebutt about acting coach for the lead actor, and I can't remember his name right now. Script changes and that kind of stuff, and just the fact that there really wasn't any kind of promotion for this film until the last 3 months. Now, someone pointed out to me that, well, they didn't want to be promoting this film while they were still trying to promote Last Jedi. And I go, okay, well, that makes sense, but then why are you putting out another Star Wars film roughly 6 months after the last one?
Right. That's a choice that was
Yeah,
made somewhere along the line.
So yeah. And actually, I can't remember whether or not The Last Jedi was supposed to be out last May and got pushed back to December again or whatever. But it doesn't matter if that happened. They had to realize that, oh my God, that's only given us so much time to try to build up excitement for this one, that maybe we need to push that back, and that's the only reason why we're pushing it back. But that they may have been concerned about with some of the other things have been talked about on the internet that I just brought up. They thought maybe pushing it back any further would be more red flags for people. I don't know. But it does look like it might be a kind of a fun film. We'll just have to see. Donald Glover as Lando looks great, and I've got a feeling that he's going to steal the film. But
God, I hope so. I think Lando got the short end of the stick, and he didn't get nearly enough screen time in Empire, and I would love to see him steal this movie.
Well, even less than Jedi.
Yeah, even less than Jedi.
Yeah, I mean, I really hate to say it, but did we really need a Solo film? We could have done a Lando film.
We could have.
Mm-hmm.
That might have been more interesting too.
So, but they didn't ask me, and that's okay.
Yeah. Before we jump out of May,
okay,
I have one tiny little one to throw in, which actually
Sure.
comes out that same week.
Okay.
It is, by all appearances, a biopic entitled Mary Shelley,
Dun, dun, dun.
which could very well be very interesting because her life was pretty interesting. So if they manage to stick close to it, it could be fun.
Yep.
The advance ratings don't really look all that great, but it would. I don't know. This is honestly more up my alley than anything else we've mentioned so far. So I wanted to at least
Right.
get it out there. I mean, when we talked about Frankenstein on the show, so
Right. Definitely. That wasn't on my list, and that seems like that's a serious screw up. But hey.
like I said, maybe not.
Well, looking at the write-up for that one, it looks more like it's more based on the romance between Shelley and Wollstonecraft. So I've got a feeling that they may lay the groundwork for the infamous telling of the tale, but maybe not as deep into the tale as I would definitely want.
Right. It does read more like it's about the people than the story.
And that could be good too.
Right.
Right.
Because we've seen some good movies. The one about the creator of Conan was pure idea of the people rather than a breakdown of the story itself.
Right. There's a big difference between a Conan movie and a Robert E. Howard movie, though.
Yeah.
I mean, that's I mean, with Mary Shelley, I don't want to say it's closer to reality because it's, I mean, really not, except that you don't have to read very far into her other works, which not that many people do anymore, to realize that, yeah, it's not that different. I mean, Howard was a character in and of himself. I mean, completely aside from Conan the Barbarian.
True. Very true.
But that was a different era too.
Alrighty, we move on to June. And who would like to start off with one of their picks?
June's going to be a really good month. Mm-hmm. I don't even know which one to start with first, so. So we mentioned Incredibles 2.
Yep.
How many years have we waited for this? I think I'm more excited than my kids are. So. And
well, I'm not going to take your kids to the movies.
Right. But yeah, this one should be good. They said that it's going to pick up right where they left off. So.
Cool.
You know, and the baby was just coming into powers and everything else. So it should be a really cute movie. Really, really cute movie. I haven't seen Pixar mess up too much, though, so.
Right.
Nope. They're pretty good.
Yep.
It looks like they're going to pick up some new voices as villains mainly. So that could be a lot of fun. I want to see that they have enough characters that they can bounce off one another and actually have a fight with somebody new and different.
Yeah. Well, it looks like in this one, too, they swap roles. She's the one who's going to be famous this time, while he's going to be the normal one with the kids, or try to be the normal one with the kids. So it should be pretty good.
Cool.
And Jack is such an easy handle.
Yeah. So that one is June 15th.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say Brad Bird comes back as Edna Mode. So I'm ready for this too.
Mm-hmm.
She was the one that designed the costumes.
No capes.
No capes.
No capes.
No capes.
Alrighty.
I have to admit, I'm cautiously curious about Ocean's 8.
Yep.
This could be really, really good, or it could be really, really bad. I mean, and we could probably say that of any movie that comes out, but this is, I like the idea. I'm not sure I like the whole tying it to the Ocean series. I think just if you're going to rip off the story, just rip off the story. I don't think you need to rip off the story. I think there are more interesting ways to do it. So I'm hoping that's not what this is. I'm hoping they've done something smart and, I mean, if not original, then at least clever.
Right.
Yeah.
With this. I don't know. We'll see. I'm hoping.
Yeah, they're just banking off the other films. I mean, they could have done. They could have called it something else, and
right.
And
even if it was the same thing, they could have called it something else.
Yeah.
And it might have. I don't know. I think it's a risky move. I hope they have the story to make it work.
Yeah, I hope so too. I mean, it's a nice cast, but you know.
I love Helena Bonham Carter, and she's in there, and yeah. I'd hate for it to suck because she doesn't have a lot of movies that does, you know.
Yep.
But seeing the star quality here, I've got a feeling it's going to be strong.
Yeah.
I don't think it will have the appeal that Ghostbusters did, where you're doing a female version of a classic we know. I just got a feeling that with this group, I think they're going to be pretty strong. And you're including Matt Damon, who was in the other series. So to me,
Damon.
Huh?
Nothing.
It just seems like you've got Kate Blanchett, Anne Hathaway, Dakota Fanning, Olivia Munn, Sandra Bullock, Jamie King, Katie Holmes. There is just a huge slice of these characters that I've got a feeling are going to be pretty freaking strong. I don't think that it's going to be questioned as to if it's a ripoff. People will go in looking that way. But if they can give a strong story that is not a ripoff, then they've succeeded. They've thumbed their nose and said, hey, we can do this too.
Yeah, like I said, I'm hopeful. I hope they've got a good story there.
Okay. That same weekend, and this is granted it's going to be a limited release, so hopefully it'll pick up more screens further in the summer or maybe in the fall. It's a documentary that we had mentioned in one of our prior shows, is Won't You Be My Neighbor, the Fred Rogers story. And I know Liz said that she had seen it on PBS. I have not checked it out yet. I want to see this so bad. Seeing the trailer and like this ought to be a very interesting tale.
Well, the one I watched on PBS, it's called "It's You I Like."
Oh, okay. Is it?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a different documentary.
A different one. Yep.
Okay.
But I'm excited to see this one too.
It's funny how that one pops up just as this one's starting to really get some buzz about it. So it's kind of funny, but
yeah.
it's kind of strange how that kind of stuff happens.
And if you hadn't brought this up, I would have. So
I was going to also.
We're so predictable.
Well, pretty much all of my life, I've worked with kids in some sort or fashion, whether it was volunteer work or watching them or whatever. And I can't tell you the influence that even beyond the grave this man has on these children, just on my childhood alone. It's great that they're keeping him in the forefront, because he contributed so much to that world.
Yep.
And anybody who can get a kid interested in anything is a god.
Yeah.
But for years he did it, and he was always an advocate for anything pertaining to them. So, great man.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any other picks?
Oh yeah, we're not done with June yet.
I know.
I want to see Action Point. Just the trailers I have seen, it's so crazy. It's my stupid funny movies I like. Of course, it's got Johnny Knoxville in it from Jackass.
How's that one?
And
yeah, I was about to say this looks like basically a Jackass film.
I'm scrolling through this looking, I know I saw that title. Where the hell is that? Oh, Johnny Knoxville. God.
Johnny Knoxville, yep.
Right.
But it looks like he's saving a theme park from being closed, and from the commercials, it's just all kinds of anything that can go wrong will go wrong for him in a Jackass kind of style way. So should be fun. Not a movie you have to think a lot to watch.
I don't know if I would have picked that one to follow the Mr. Rogers one,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, that seems like the opposite end of the spectrum, but okay.
The funny thing is that the one I was going to do next, if she hadn't jumped in there, which is fine, I'm not complaining, is another remake. that comes out in June.
Mhm.
They have remade Superfly.
No, I
That's
didn't
not
see
the only
that one.
remake that comes out in June, but go ahead.
No, I'm sure it's not, but yeah, and I'm not. I mean, I'm not sure how I feel about this. I can't imagine going to see it, but that said, I would be interested to see how it's done. I might have to watch it somewhere down the line just to see how different it is. Because I mean, it's a very different world than it was in 1972.
Oh yeah.
And just from the sense of how are they going to make this movie, I'm kind of curious. As weird as that sounds, that's how I look at
Sounds good.
movies anymore. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you mentioned remakes and you talk about how to make it different. Well, they've made this one different. Friday, June 29th, we are getting Valley Girl the musical. Now, this is not a pick. I'm just pointing this out to you.
All right, yeah.
I mean, I've seen the original one back in the 80s, and that was if I'm not mistaken, an early Nick Cage film. But yeah, they decided not only to remake this film, but turn it into a musical.
Musicals are big lately.
That's true.
Why?
I, for one, am not a fan, but
Right,
they're big
me
lately.
neither. It's like, no, don't sing it, just tell me.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it caught my attention, but probably not for the reason that they wanted me to. They wanted, but hey,
Yeah, it didn't quite have the reaction they were hoping for, I'm sure. But
right.
yeah, we'll see. I guess it could be interesting.
I may have to lay out on that one.
Layout as in not see it, or layout as in lay out the cash to go see it?
I was gonna
Yeah,
say
he'll lay out
layout.
the cash. Yeah.
Oh, it's
Camp
going to
out.
be no C, no ticket.
No mas, no mas.
But I guarantee if you put a ticket in his hand, he'd go. He just won't buy that ticket.
I don't know, man. He might find a way to talk his way out of it. Do we want to talk?
He's just going the quiet route. Thank you.
There's actually a couple more high-profile sequels coming out in June.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that we want to spend the whole damn show on June, but it's beginning to look like we could.
Yeah.
I suppose the most obvious one for our tastes would be Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom.
Yep.
Chris Pratt is back.
He is.
Yes, we
A little bit
only
more beefier.
because we didn't get enough of him a few weeks earlier in the Avengers film. He's here for Jurassic World, so yeah.
Yeah. He's a hot property right now. I'll give him that.
Got both time periods covered.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But the man that survived the toilet is back. Ian Malcolm. So it's got to be good.
Yeah. I don't know if that's why it's got to be good, but okay. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have no problem with Ian Malcolm, but we'll see. I didn't actually watch the one that this is a direct sequel of, so
I haven't either.
I kind of
So
lost
don't
interest.
feel bad.
Yeah, oh, I don't. Don't worry. The first one was kind of enough for me. That was a good movie. I other than making more money, I didn't think it needed a sequel. This is what, the fifth or sixth now. I'm like, nah.
5th. I know there.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, because we had Jurassic Park, then we had Lost World, which was Jeff Goldblum, and then there was the third one where they brought back Sam Neill, and then there was Jurassic World. Now this one. So
Okay.
yeah.
I couldn't remember if there was one more in there or not.
If there was, I'm not remembering it right now.
Yeah. Okay.
I got one more.
Okay.
Hotel Artemis. One of my favorite shows right now on TV is called This Is Us. And part of the reason is because Sterling K. Brown is in it. And every part that he has ever played in this show, you feel it. I mean, he can make you cry. He can make you laugh. He's a very, I call him a feely actor because you feel what he's acting. And this one, him, Jodie Foster, and Jeff Goldblum are going to be in this. I guess Jodie Foster is running a secret hospital for criminals. So, like I said, it got Jeff Goldblum in it. So, you guys may like it too.
Yeah, I remember hearing about the premise of this one, and it's kind of funny because the first thing that popped in my head, I'm like, okay, so this is Postal, except for it's just a hospital, not a town.
Right.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's kind of how weird my mind can work sometimes. But I thought of Postal. I'm like, hey, maybe Postal could be a film. Hey, there we go.
It could be.
It could be.
Could be a very interesting one.
Or at least a series. Series would be interesting.
But you have Dave Bautista, who you already saw in the Guardians movies, and he'll be in for the
Avengers, yep.
Avengers. So.
All right. Shall we move on to July then?
Okay.
Well, is there any more June picks?
No. That's
okay.
why I said okay.
Okay. Well, okay. All right.
No.
June, July. Let's go. Or y'all want me to go first?
I'll throw one in here. Purely for Les's sake.
Okay.
Because this is actually something he requested like a year ago. I forget what we were talking about. Maybe it was probably some weird thing like movies or TV shows or movies that we wanted to see sequels for.
Okay.
And I saw this on this list and I was like, didn't Les ask for this? So on Friday, July 20th, The Equalizer 2 comes out.
Yep.
With Denzel.
With Denzel, yeah. He's back.
He's back. And I kind of remember. Do you remember this, Les? Do you remember saying you wanted a sequel to this?
I believe I did, but I'm not sure what state I was under at the time.
Can't
you
hold
were
up
in the
the
state
method.
of Texas. That's where you are.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I maybe you said it being sarcastic. I don't know, but I don't remember it that well either. But I vaguely remember you saying you wanted to see a sequel to that. But so there you go. You got your wish.
There we go.
And thank you, one and all. I thought that the original was really well done, and hopefully they've got a strong script for this one too.
Right.
And they can lean it that direction to get a magnificent movie.
Well, we got the same director back too, so hopefully they got something going on.
Okay.
Well, I got one that's probably going to make everybody go,
Well, let's just get it over with.
Teen Titans Go is going to have a movie. Now, see, I like Teen Titans, and I loved Young Justice, but when Teen Titans Go came out, once again, I'm into stupid funny, so it just kind of fits.
And this definitely qualifies.
It does.
The only thing better than stupid funny is stupid funny aimed at 5-year-olds.
Right. Well, yeah, but, you know.
And this hits on all three right now.
It does indeed.
We want to expand?
I like them. I think it's funny that they can sit back and kind of poke fun at themselves, you know? And they even make comments to Young Justice and stuff and how bad they messed up when they canned the show. So it's kind of cool. I'll probably go see this one. Hey, I watch kids. I can bring a kid and it won't look bad, you know?
Your top three people in this listed by IMDb are Nicolas Cage, Kristen Bell, and Tara Strong.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty freaking hard right there.
And Will Arnett.
Will Arnett, yes.
And you see who Nick Cage is playing, right?
Yes, that's what strikes me as the funniest about this.
Yeah, well, it was done on purpose, too, so.
I would hope so.
For those who don't know, he is playing Superman. So, kind of a poke at the almost Superman film. Yeah, the almost Superman film we had starring him, so.
And I like Tara Strong's work. I never realized she voiced all of my childhood, so.
Yeah, there's, I swear, like a dozen people who were just almost completely dominant in the world of voiceover for like the 90s and 2000s, and she's one of them.
She's one of them, yeah.
Definitely.
She's very much one of them.
Her and Billy West and keep on going.
Rob Paulson,
yep.
Delisle. Oh God, yeah, you can Jim Cummings. I mean, you could just rattle off names that, I mean, honestly, a lot of people have never heard before, but they're all the voices for all the cartoons from that time period, and it's just, yeah.
Yep.
And, I mean, it's because they were awesome at it, for sure.
Yes.
She is.
So, yeah.
So I was thinking with her, if you look at the different people that she's voiced, it's like, you know, from Timmy Turner to My Little Pony, it's like, wow, it's just so diverse. You know, it's not all girls and it's not all babies and that kind of stuff. So very talented when they can do that.
Yep. Just to hear her switch from Bubbles to Raven is hilarious.
Yeah. And then, of course, her and Mark Hamill, she voiced Harley and he did the Joker, so they got together at a con and did like a little skit together, which was really cute too.
Okay. I have to admit, I have not seen these films, but I've always been curious. And so I may want to start with this one since this is a prequel. And this one's called The First Purge. And there's been, I don't know, about 3 or 4 of these.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say this may be the third.
Okay.
I want to say there may have been a Purge 3, or maybe it was called something else. But yeah, I know there was a Purge 2. There may have been a third one, and so maybe this is the fourth one. I don't know.
And then there's supposed to be a Purge TV series too.
Oh, good.
Which I'm not sure how that's going to work.
Me either.
But
interesting that this gets a Wednesday release for 4th of July. But
mm-hmm. Well, I mean, on the day we have a lot of fireworks and all that, then you just go see a movie where there's a lot of destruction going on.
Right.
And the whole deal is that it's, I mean, I believe in the story itself, it's intended as kind of a holiday. So.
Yes.
It is.
I
Yeah.
think
It
that
is.
may be why they've done this.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You know, as far as a TV show, Rick and Morty did a TV show about the Purge, so it can be done.
Well, but one episode. Wow. But we're talking about a series.
Maintaining a series is a different story.
Yeah, that's true.
Unless the premise is kind of what happens between, you know, because this happens like one day, or either that or they do a 24-hour format where it's literally that whole day.
That's
So,
true.
you know,
See, and that kind of gets to me. I had to quit watching like 24 and stuff because you watch it for what, 5 months, and then all of a sudden you realize this has just been one day.
Yeah, it's still the same day.
Talk about dragging a story out, And how could they have done all of that in one day?
they're just that good.
Right? I'm doing good to shower and go to work in one day.
They've got Santa's schedule.
There you go. Yeah, I always thought The Purge was a neat concept, though.
Yeah, it's not like I've been avoiding it. It's just something I hadn't caught yet. And I definitely would like to check it out just because it is an interesting premise.
Yeah. And for the prequel, it would be nice to see how bad things were that the government finally said, okay, for 12 hours, go nuts.
Yep.
No consequences. We're done. So that should be a pretty good one.
It's an interesting concept to pull one small piece out of 1984 and make an entire movie series out of it. But anyway. So I guess somebody's got to mention Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah, we were going to get there eventually.
Yeah, I know. I don't watch all of them, but I did actually watch Ant-Man, and I kind of liked it for what it was.
Yep.
So if they can maintain that type of story for another movie, then great. I think it'll work well. If they've half-assed the story, which, I mean, this is a Marvel movie, so how likely is it really that they've half-assed the story? They haven't really. They've been doing pretty well, so give them credit. I think this could be a fun one.
It could be, yeah.
And if nothing else, they've got the cast back, and I think the cast was a big part of what made that movie work. I think Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly worked well. I mean, they didn't work together much in that movie, but it was enough to make you want to say, okay, how well are they going to? It was enough to sell you on a sequel for sure. Okay,
right.
These two are going to work together. This ought to be fun.
Yeah, Paul Rudd was a good casting choice. That was not something I thought of, but it did work.
If you folks can tell me the importance of Sonny Birch in this universe, I would like to know it. I know that Walton Goggins has been, to me, a really good actor ever since his days on the Police Story now I can't remember. He was on a police squad in The Shield. And that was back in 2002 to 2008. Goggins was on that, and to me, he became a very good actor just at that point. I was pretty surprised with it. So I don't know what part he plays in this one, but that might be enough to get me into the theater and get past some of the thought process of Scott Lang and him being flying around on a ant, which doesn't normally keep its wings for very long anyway.
Well, hang on. Hank Pym did too. So are we just ripping on Scott Lang, or are we just?
No. I'm ripping on the thought that an ant can carry wings for that long. Even Henry Pym in the comics would call for the one particular ant to help him fly, And I had a problem with that too.
Okay, so you don't have a problem with someone developing a serum to where they can shrink a person to the size of an ant or turn them into a giant person, but an ant having wings for a long period of time, that's just right out. Okay.
No, I was a follower of the Marvel Comics at that time. But later, I had this problem, and in the movie, the thought that he could get small enough to fall through the fibers of a wood floor and hit a turntable, causing it to skip. There I have a problem. And yet he has the ability to crush things in an ant size. That wasn't explained to me well enough in the first movie.
There was a brief explanation of it, if I remember correctly, but I don't remember it being. I remember it being kind of glossed over, and I'm sure it had something to do with mass distribution. But I mean, I think something. I don't know. I don't know if I want to go off on a pseudo-scientific tangent at this point, but I mean, there are ways you could BS it. I mean, it essentially is the whole technobabble thing that Star Trek used to do, but there are ways to BS it. But I agree, they didn't really do that in the movie. I suspect mostly because they didn't have time. I would hope, or at least I think it would be interesting if they did go more into the scientific parts of it this time around, because it would make more sense in a way for Lang to get more interested in the science of it, given that he's clearly accepted the whole idea at this point. I would hope that he would want to be interested. I don't know.
Well, to me, it would have been a better first Ant-Man movie showing a younger Henry Pym establishing all of this. The second movie would be Lang stepping into the role itself.
Maybe. I could see it, I guess.
All right. Any other picks? We have another Mission Impossible.
Yeah. Tom Cruise.
Does anybody give a shit at this point?
No. It's Tom Cruise. And I used to like him. He used to do some really good stuff, and then I don't know.
I stopped watching these after the second one, although I was told I should watch the third one with Philip Seymour Hoffman as the villain.
Yeah, but that doesn't have anything to do with Tom Cruise. That's just to see Philip Seymour Hoffman be the villain.
Mm-hmm. And?
No, that wasn't a complaint.
Okay. So...
one more called
Alrighty.
Don't Worry, He Won't Get Far on Foot. It's got, I don't know if it's Joaquin Phoenix, or is it Joe Queen, or Joaquin. I don't know. Joaquin. And Jonah Hill, Jack Black. So it's about a guy who gets into a really bad car accident after a night of drinking. And he discovers during his recovery, from rehab I think he loses his legs. He becomes a quadriplegic, yes. So he discovers that he can draw, and he starts making cartoons and stuff. So it's based on true events. His name's John Callahan in the movie.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And with Jack Black in it, it's got to have some funny parts in it. So, But yeah, they said this is adapted from his autobiography.
Hmm.
I don't know, you say that, but Jack Black was in the remake of King Kong, and that movie wasn't funny at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Or good.
Well, most of his stuff is funny.
What was the name of the movie?
It's called Don't Worry, He Won't Get Far on Foot.
Oh, okay.
Next he becomes a quadriplegic. So I guess he can poke at himself, you know.
I like the idea.
Hmm.
Yeah, that actually does sound cool.
And Joaquin Phoenix adds just enough of a weird point to it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Bound to be better than Skyscraper.
What, you're not interested in Skyscraper?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't really do disaster movies. I've tried to watch them, and I just can't do it. I tried watching Pacific Rim, and it was just horrible. And I don't understand why anybody liked that movie. And yes, I'm sure I'm going to raise the ire of every single one of our listeners at this point, but I thought it was just stupid, and I can't understand why they're making a sequel. Anyway. I felt the same way about the most recent Godzilla movie too. I was like, what is the point? This is okay, monster crashing, boom, that people die. Why is that fun? I don't get it. Anyway, sorry.
That's all right.
I wandered off there for a bit.
We never do that on this show.
Oh no, hell no, we're on point 100% of the time.
That's right.
1000%. Yep.
Which is a good thing that we don't ever have a point, because it just wouldn't work if we did.
We do. They're just all over.
True enough.
Okay. I guess it's time to move on to August.
God, is there anything coming out in August?
Yes.
Well, yeah, there's a couple.
Robin does.
Oh yeah.
Yay! This is another one that when you watch the trailer, if you grew up with Winnie the Pooh and Christopher Robin in your life, you will cry watching the trailer, you know. So.
That seems to me to be a really good reason not to watch the trailer, but anyway.
You have to get in touch with your feelings. But yeah, this one should be pretty good too. I think they're looking for Christopher Robin. At first it reminded me of Toy Story, when they're looking for Andy. Wasn't that the premise of all the Toy Stories? But yeah, I think it's going to be something like that.
And looking at the very short list of stars, throwing back to the voice actor stuff we were talking about a few minutes ago, mm-hmm. I see Jim Cummings on the list.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Which is cool, because that means Tigger's in this movie.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yep. I think it's the whole group looking for him, so.
Cool.
Yep. I was going to mention Slender Man.
Yes.
Because, well, one, it was bound to happen. There was bound to be a movie made about this.
Yeah.
Just because it has been such a big deal. Whether it will prove to be a good movie or not will be interesting to see, I guess.
Yep.
Get a little supernatural horror going here before summer lets out. Before the kids go back to school.
That's it. Freak the little right out of it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You certainly wouldn't want them to like sleep or anything at the beginning of school. So we'll make it so they don't want to do that.
No. Must agree, yes.
So am I reading the Meg right? That it's another Jaws movie, pretty much? Jason Statham, giant shark, with a tagline of "Pleased to eat you." That's all they say.
Yeah, I
See,
guess.
I'd be okay with a Jaws, but I wouldn't be okay with another Sharknado. I'm sharked out.
I don't know, man. I mean, and that's all the description it gives. Where I'm
It
saying.
is.
That's it. So
That's it.
I legitimately don't know what to think about that.
So it kind of makes it sound like a Jaws.
Yeah.
I am
A girl Jaws.
honestly keen. No. Meg is short for megalodon,
Oh.
which is like a prehistoric shark. At least
Okay.
that's my guess. I mean, it could just be the Mila Kunis character from Family Guy swimming around. Who
Yeah.
knows? But I think it's more likely.
Well, the way they
That's
treat her
Meg
might as
from
well
Megan.
be.
But I am curious to see a trailer for that. That's for sure.
Yep.
I can't say I would want to watch the movie because again, it's just kind of a monster / disaster movie, I'm sure. But I'd
With
be curious-
sharks.
With sharks, right? I'd be curious, like I said,
Oh.
to see a trailer.
You were talking about the sharks being the monster, not Jason Statham. Okay.
Hey, I said monster. I wasn't specific.
I had heard about this one, and I'm kind of curious about it. It's the Happy Time Murders. And the premise is this is a reality where humans and puppets live together. And there's a 80s children's show it's all made up. The cast is all puppets. And they start being murdered, killed off one by one. And so,
Puppets do?
Huh?
Puppets are being killed off one by one?
Yes. And I mean, this is listed as a comedy crime fantasy. And then, of course, a former police detective, now private eye puppet, is investigating what's going on.
It's an interesting cast.
Yeah.
Eddie Valiant, or
You kind of have to wonder, don't you? It's directed by Brian Henson, so I mean,
Yep.
I'd give it a shot based on that alone.
So we'll see. It definitely has my interest.
Yeah.
Any other ones for August?
I'm a little curious about Replicas,
Yeah.
a sci-fi thriller starring Keanu Reeves. I know.
Whoa.
It's a stretch, but it could be interesting. And a man who becomes obsessed with bringing his family back in any way possible after they're killed in a car accident.
Mm-hmm.
It's the in any way possible that makes me curious about this.
The dangers of cloning.
Mm-hmm. Cloning.
Yeah, I believe this is about them being cloned.
Oh, okay.
I may be mistaken.
Could still be interesting. The site I'm on doesn't really say even that much, so. But that doesn't mean anything. That just means they don't say. It doesn't mean.
Right. Hang on, because I had something. A scientist becomes, well, yeah, pretty much the same thing, but I'm thinking I thought I saw something about it being cloning. Now, according to this, it says a daring synthetic biologist who, after a car accident kills his family, will stop at nothing to bring them back. even if it means pitting himself against a government-controlled laboratory, a police task force, and the physical laws of science.
Huh.
And I'm sitting here thinking, if it is going to be cloning, I hope they do dive into the science of it, as opposed to it just being
Just, he did it and that's it.
as opposed to it just being the Matrix with clones.
Right.
That would be bad. I would rather it be well thought out. But again, I'm weird.
Aren't we all weird?
God, I hope so.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in.
Another one has caught my attention, although it... Well, okay, I'm seeing a couple of different release dates for this one. But supposedly it's coming out August 3rd. It's called Searching. And the synopsis says, after a 16-year-old daughter goes missing, a desperate father breaks into her laptop to look for clues to find her. A thriller that unfolds entirely on computer screens.
Huh.
Now, the closest I can think of something compared to that was was it Unfriended or Unfollowed? Because that all was pretty much done through like social media and Skype and all that. And that was actually a horror film. And it was halfway decent.
Cool.
Because it was all done that way. That's all you see. You don't really see any kind of camera work, from outside, that kind of thing. So
Right. You're playing with the medium.
right, exactly.
Which is always, well, it's not always fun, but
It can be interesting.
is often interesting.
Yeah.
Even if it's not fun, it's interesting.
It's just kind of an evolution of the whole found footage thing, which frankly has been played to death.
Nope.
It got played to death pretty fast, really.
Yeah.
It didn't.
That's true.
That wasn't a trend that lasted all that long. It's just that people won't let it go away.
Right.
I think because it's cheap to shoot. But anyway.
Oh, that's true too.
And it stars John Cho, which of course was Harold from Harold and Kumar. Wasn't he also in Star Trek?
Yes,
He was Sulu. He's Sulu.
Ed Deborah Messing, of course, from Will and Grace.
And I guess the computer is from Apple.
Probably. Because Apple always wants us to think that we're all using Apple computers in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, it was Unfriended.
Okay.
That they reference.
And also on that same day, there's one called The Darkest Minds. That one looks pretty interesting too. It's a sci-fi fantasy following a group of teens with superhuman powers on the run from the government after a plague has killed off the majority of the country's children. I wonder if it was on purpose.
It sounds brutal.
It does. So I guess instead of killing them, it made them superheroes.
Wow.
Interesting.
Now, let's look at this one and see it the star power versus what else is going on. Tell you the truth, you've got Mandy Moore, and I'm sorry to say I don't see much of anyone else.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that it's not going to be a strong movie.
Yeah.
Right.
These will probably be a lot of unknowns, being that they're teens,
Right.
maybe.
Younger people.
Yeah. But Mandy Moore right now, once again, that's This Is Us, and she's a pretty hot item right now. So picking and choosing, she hopefully picked a good project.
I do hope so. To get back out there in front of the populace outside of television
Yeah.
might be a little tough.
Well, and I think TV was kind of a step down for her because isn't she like a pretty well-known singer and everything too?
Yes.
Well, yeah, because she came out right around the time Christina Aguilera and Britney and all those came out, and it seemed to me that she quickly switched to acting, and she's had success for doing that, and that made.
Can you blame her? Look at the girls her age. Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears.
Yeah, well.
I'd want to get away from the music scene, too. I'm kidding.
Not sure Hollywood's an upgrade from that, but anyway.
But, she's one of them that you never heard anything bad about. There's very few people that make that switch over, or heck, even if they don't, that from that time period, that just didn't go crazy or shave their head, or she was one of the good girls.
She remained pretty level.
Mm-hmm.
As far as we know.
Good point.
True.
Speak up. Tell me what.
Oh, I don't know anything specific. I'm just saying.
Oh well,
okay. If she lost her mind, her publicity people kept it pretty well covered up.
Exactly.
Good job, Hub.
Any other choices for August?
Nope.
I guess not. Is it me? I mean, we didn't pick them. We didn't pick them all out, but it seemed like there was a lot more horror films coming out this summer. There's at least one or two a month, and that's not usually the case. Or I seem to be remembering wrong.
No, I think you're right.
I thought we picked out a lot of them. I mean, then again, my list isn't particularly long. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, we picked. But I don't think we picked out all of them. But
no, probably not.
Yeah.
It just seemed like there was a lot more this summer than normal, and I'm not saying that's good or bad, but it's kind of surprising because usually the horror stuff especially hits fall, especially October, and then later. But it's just,
well, I wonder if they're trying to capitalize on the summer thing.
It could be.
Maybe they're pushing some of them up just to see if maybe they'll make a little more money than they do in October.
Well, I mean, people like to get scared during the summertime as well, so.
Right.
That's something that I don't know if we've mentioned here before or just in our regular conversations, but I've always thought it was funny that haunted houses were only open, just a certain period, a time of year. Now we've got one here locally that happens to be open for a limited time all the holidays. I mean, even Valentine's Day and stuff like that, but there's not one that's actually all year round.
Yeah.
Yeah, I spotted one. I don't remember what it was called now, but it was open over St. Patrick's Day.
It may be the same one, and I can't remember the name of it. And I know our friend Eli Luna is going, "It's this," and I'm like, "Okay, yeah, I'm an idiot. I can't remember it right now."
Is it The Darkest Hour?
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, maybe.
But it just seems like
Plano.
Yeah, I think that is the one.
Yeah, that's it.
That's cool.
But you would think it would be open a little bit more often than just from, say, late September to Halloween, and that's it.
Yeah.
There may be, some people may like to get scared in February or April or June.
That's true.
Well, and if you think about that, especially, I mean, February is surprisingly a fairly big month for releasing horror movies.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also traditionally a month where movies don't do all that well.
Yeah.
So we're kind of
We're drowned out with chick flicks.
Well, there's that, yeah.
What I think too with the haunted houses, though, most of them share properties to where they're doing other things during the year with that property. Like the one out there, God, I can't remember the name of it, but it's on the same land as Scarborough Fair.
Yeah, Screams is.
Screams,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it seems like with how much land they have. Ooh, or a medieval horror house. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, you've seen one torture chamber, you've seen them all.
And I don't mind the haunted houses. I just don't like people touching me. I mean...
So you want to go through a hologram haunted house? Is that it?
That's it.
If they're allowed to touch me, I should be able to knock the hell out of them for touching me.
They have those. They're called horror movies.
And
Yes, we just mentioned a couple of them.
I also don't like the stuff that, like, you feel like you're suffocating, like walking through the trash bag kind of thing. Mm-mm. No. I will walk through snakes and pick up bugs, but don't put me in one of those little suffocating things.
You heard it here first, people.
So basically, you like all the parts of a haunted house except the inside.
No, just the entrance and the exit where they make you walk through that little suffocating thing, you know.
She loves haunted houses, but she just really wants to watch it on TV.
Right.
Well, and they always, I live with all guys. So when we go, I'm usually the only girl in the group, and it's like they pick me out because they think that I'm like the scared one or something.
Yeah, you're the one who's more likely to scream like a little girl.
Right. And it's like, oh no, pick on the young one. He's going to give you the scream you're looking for,
That's when you bring the fist up and say, "One chance, buddy."
Right. Well, I had one guy, back me up against a wall while he's got, these knives in my face. And it's like, oh, no. And where are my fearless guys? Off in the other corner laughing at me. So, no.
You need to find better friends going through this.
Right, that's family.
This is her family, right? I mean...
Maybe I should
Time to switch families.
I don't know. My family's been telling me for years that that's not an option, so I don't know.
Yeah. They would have traded me off a long time ago, We want one of them newer models.
Well, they always say when they turn 40, you trade them in for two 20-year-olds, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that how that works?
Yes, it is.
I clearly didn't get that memo, but anyway. I've spent most of my time hoping my wife doesn't do that to me, but anyway. So, movies, huh?
Right.
So let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
What about the big one? Do we want to discuss it?
I told you, I don't want to go see Skyscraper, man. I just don't. No, I know.
You went the Skyscraper route. My mind went bone chicken wow. Really? Wow. I missed that on the list.
Wow. Me too. Well, I mean...
Are we talking about Infinity Wars?
We're talking about Infinity War, yes. I'm almost certain. Almost certain.
Yes. The reason I want to ask about this is they have advertised it as the end. Now, if this is true, is this when Marvel says we're done with movies?
Yeah, right.
No.
Yeah,
No,
yeah, exactly.
this is the end. This is going to be the end. This and the Avengers film next year would be basically the end of this phase, and then they're going on a different path.
Okay.
They'll do like they do with their comics and Rebirth.
No, Rebirth DC. Get
Right.
the facts right.
I see. I'm not a Marvel reader, so I didn't know what theirs is called.
No, from the scuttlebutt I've been hearing is the next wave of films, not counting obviously the sequels to Doctor Strange and Ant-Man and Black Panther, but Captain Marvel will be involved with it. It'll be a little bit more cosmic. I mean, there's talk of doing a Eternals film, which is funny that this kind of starts hitting after Warner Brothers says, "Oh, we're going to do a new Gods film," and we already got our director. But Marvel's had this plan laid out for a long, long time. So,
Yeah.
but
Well,
there's
from what I
there's
understand, go ahead.
okay, but it's just that's what I've been hearing is going to go more cosmic because, like I said, we'll have those films. Obviously, we'll have Guardians 3. But we're going to kind of go a different path because, we're not going to we probably won't have any more Thors and Captain Americas and Iron Man, so they want to kind of do something kind of different. And that's fine. That's actually a good idea. Don't do the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Okay. I can believe that.
Well, from what I heard, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Go ahead,
From what
Liz.
I heard too, Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans both have come out and said that they're tired, they're done. So, of course, they've played up Infinity Wars that one of them's going to die, but they also did that to us in Civil War, and both of them are okay. So, but yeah, I guess if their characters are wanting to go somewhere else, you'd have to do something else.
Well, from what I have heard for the last few years is that Chris Evans actually wants to move behind the camera and start directing.
That'd be
That
cool.
he doesn't really want to act as much. And and Robert Downey Jr. he's been doing this for 10 years.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and some of them are like, well, I don't want to be typecasted into a certain role. Are you kidding me? You're making millions of dollars right now. I would not care if somebody labeled me Wonder Woman. That would be more than fine with me. You can even name my bank account that.
Well, it's funny because Sebastian Stan says, "Hey, yeah, I'll do more. If you like?" Yeah, he wants to do more.
Yeah.
So.
So maybe pass the gauntlet kind of thing.
Who knows? I mean, we'll just see what we'll see because I've been hearing that there's going to be at least one major death in this next one, and it's supposed to be pretty early in the film, but who knows?
Which maybe is there Alamo for the movie?
Do what?
Which would be like their Alamo, that one bad thing that happens that motivates everybody else to go and win the war.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Could be. I mean, they kind of did that in the first Avengers movie.
Yeah, and the second.
Well,
yeah. Yeah, they killed it. Yeah, because it was the death of Coulson that basically rallied the team together.
Mm-hmm.
That they were actually a team then.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just have to see because, I mean, we got this one here in a couple of weeks, and then we'll have the next one next year. And they said they won't even announce the title of this one until some point down the line. So, I mean, we won't know for another couple of months what the next one's going to be called. So, obviously, they're holding that back for some strange reason. It has to have some tie to
The person who dies.
what happens in this one.
As long as they include Electric Boogaloo in their title, then okay.
No, that's going to be the next Batman film.
That would be awesome.
The Batman, Electric Boogaloo. Followed by Nerds in Paradise.
As long as there's a breakdancing scene.
There you go.
And did I hear we're supposed to get a Flashpoint story out of DC?
Last I've heard that they're scrapping that idea. So
of course, because it was a good idea.
Well, and they just did it in the Flash TV series, so why copy that? So.
Yeah, because I wanted to see Thomas Wayne as Batman. And Martha as the Joker.
Well, I don't know if they would go into that deep, especially since it's supposed to be a Flash film, but, who knows what's going on with Flash. There's been so many changes and all that, it's not even funny.
Yeah.
At this point, I don't even know if we're actually going to get a Flash film.
Yeah, they've started and stopped quite a few times on that one. I think they should have already did the Flash film before they did Justice League, myself. I think they should have, kind of like Marvel did. I hate to say that, but kind of give us a movie and get us interested in that character, so when they all come together, we're invested. We know them. We care if they die, not, oh. So.
Wow.
Yeah. That's just me. But I think that's why Marvel's done so well. They've given us backstories on everybody, and not just backstories, but a lot of history of what makes them them, Not they were picked out on a computer and Batman went and got them, Oh, and Wonder Woman, but yeah. Wasn't impressed.
And of course, by the time this episode drops, the Super Troopers 2 has opened. So get out and be stupid.
In a fun way.
There's a motto for the show, if I ever heard one.
I was kind of surprised they did that one, too. I was happy they did that one.
Another long
Yeah,
week for
giving them...
Yep. And I think it drops, what, 420?
Yes.
So, yep.
Fitting.
Yeah, imagine that.
Imagine that.
That's why they've waited for 15 years or whatever the hell it's been. It's because they were waiting for
Friday.
April 20th to fall on a Friday.
They call it dope for a reason, folks.
Which is also Earth Day, right? So.
21st is Earth Day.
Oh.
But they're right there with it. Because they're up in Canada.
They're keeping the green theme.
You bet.
Alrighty. With that, we'll take a quick break and be back with our weekly picks. And we're back. It is time for weekly picks, and leading off is Les.
Well, good evening. This is Les, and I'm going to open with Boom Studios, the 4th issue of Abbott, conveniently called Abbott number 4. And this has been a pretty strong storyline. I think Thomas follows this also. This is the penultimate chapter in which she is near giving up on Detroit and the plagues that they are having a problem with. This is the 4th of 5 issues, and I'm pretty much ready for this one to swallow everything and see what happens.
Yeah, this has been an interesting series so far. And
very much so.
And I'm not sure where it's going to go, and that's half the fun. So yeah.
Yeah,
this has been a great book.
We've done a lot of plugging to this book, and rightly so. It's very cool.
Yep. Alrighty, Liz.
All right, for my first pick, I am going with Demi-God out of IDW. Regular Joe Schmo nobody gets the powers of a god. And, of course, the first issue, he was just like the biggest pompous jerk on the planet. You know, he let it all go to his head. So, kind of reminds me, or he even went so far as to call himself Hercules. So, he's very full of himself. Now that he's gotten powers, he's the kind of character that everybody's going to hate. That jock, always kidding, smacking people, that kind of thing. So I'm thinking this story is going to take a turn and show him becoming a moral person. So it's number 2. Get on for the ride. This one should be pretty interesting.
You have grand hopes, don't you?
I'm hoping. Because if he stays the jerk, you know, my 5-issue rule, so, or 3-issue rule. But if it's kind of one of those, he redeems himself and he comes into the role as, you know, the superhero that we want him to be. But the way that the artwork, the way that they've drawn this guy, I don't think he's going to come into that role for us. You know? Very beefed out, steroid-looking guy.
Alrighty. Mikey, you're up next.
Okie dokie. My first pick is a Titan book. And it is The Prisoner. This is number 1 of 4, which was timed to coincide with the 50th anniversary of the premiere of the TV show, the very much fan favorite TV show. This is a series that people who liked it really, really loved it. And I'll be honest, I'm mostly curious about this series here because I wasn't one of the ones who got very much into The Prisoner back in the day. So I am going to use this to find out what I missed, or at least get a taste of it. So I'm kind of excited for that, if just by itself, just because it will expose me to something that people really love, or loved, I mean. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, I've never watched the show, but I've heard of it. I've heard of it talked about and all that. So, yeah, I'm going to use this series as kind of an entryway and see if, I may need to check it out. I'm definitely intrigued.
Yep.
The series The Prisoner closely followed Secret Agent Man, or Secret Agent, on television. And it was always thought that the agent was also the prisoner. And I do not recall the last episode of Secret Agent, so I can't recall whether or not he actually was pulled into this new realm. But I do remember that the care for the new series, The Prisoner, was off the charts. It was really, really well paced and written. So I'm looking also for this comic to see if it can live up to the predecessors.
It all took place in a snow globe?
Yeah, and the whole season was what's his name in the shower.
Mm-hmm. Bobby.
Bobby Ewing.
Yeah.
Wow, we talk about The Prisoner, we do a Dallas, and we do a St. Elsewhere reference. That's pretty good. Alrighty, I'm up next, and for my first choice, I turn to Vault Comics, and the debut issue of a title called Deep Roots. And the premise of this is essentially plant life gets its revenge against the polluting planet. And when I first started reading about this, I started thinking of, and Mike knows exactly where I'm about to go, of a old Genesis song, Return of the Giant Hog.
Giant Hogweed, yep.
And I'm like, okay, if it's just like something similar to the song, this ought to be a pretty cool series. But it's basically about plant life just getting revenge for years of humans polluting the planet and all that. So
the vegetarians are the first to go.
Well, I don't think they're going to discriminate. I think they're taking everybody out. So
More like Day of the Triffids.
Okay.
Cool.
That one sounds pretty neat.
We shall see how much fun this will be. Les, you're up again.
Let's see. For my second choice, coming from Alterna Comics, is a trade paperback called FUBAR All-Star. And FUBAR was a title that Alterna had run. And in this, it is all over the place with Rasputin rampaging through a zombie-infested Kremlin, a Nazi-eating undead battling in World War II. Mother Russia faces off against a bear. King Tut, Ben Franklin, Henry VIII, and many others grace this blood-slicked pages of All-Star FUBAR. That's essentially it. I'm in. I want to see how Alterna handles this, and it's a fairly small-priced trade. So I'm going to ask that be put on my list also.
That sounds just crazy enough to work.
Yes.
And we're just the guys to do it.
Dun, dun, dun.
And girl.
Well, there weren't any girls in Animal House that was part of this group, but we'll get you too. We'll pick you up.
Okay.
May I have 10,000 marbles, please?
Alrighty, Liz.
All right. My second pick is actually my first pick because I'm so excited about this one. J. Scott Campbell, Danger Girl, 20th anniversary. They're doing a huge oversized issue, 88 pages. Part of they're going to tell us 2 stories, and then both stories will be scanned in the black and white pencils that J. Scott Campbell drew those in. So should be very awesome if you're a fan of his artwork, which he does beautiful artwork. You'll definitely want to pick this one up because it will showcase a lot of his artwork with Danger Girl. So 20th anniversary, like I said, J. Scott Campbell. That's probably all I needed to say. Go get it.
Yeah, this
is a great series.
Mm-hmm.
And it opened up so many things the idea of the lead for the Danger Girl squad looking like the early James Bond,
Yeah.
I thought was a brilliant touch. And I'm just sorry that this has not been a title that was constantly in motion.
Yeah.
I would love to have seen this being done for 20 years
Yeah.
easily.
And they could have. It's not like she deals with a very specific storyline, so that, she could have had tons of stories.
Yes.
And then they gave us that, what was it, 6-issue miniseries a couple of years back?
Yes.
But even that, didn't they make us wait like 8 months between issue 4 and 5 or something like that? So it would have been nice to have it ongoing instead of a miniseries.
I agree.
Yeah, this one was going to get mentioned pretty much whether Liz brought it up or not.
Yeah.
It was actually on my list too.
Was it?
Yeah.
Here, here.
I had plenty backups.
Said he's amazing. And he's got the type of artwork that when you see it, you don't even have to see his name to know who it is,
Right.
True.
Very identifiable.
Very, yep. His own little style.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty, Mikey.
Oh, that brings me up again.
Mm-hmm.
And my second pick is a Dark Horse book. And this is another new one. This is Aliens Dust to Dust, #1. This is a series obviously set in the Aliens universe. We're dealing with another colony out there that's under attack, and a 12-year-old and his mom are trying to make it to the port. And I don't know, you can guess what's going to be in between them and the port to get out of there. So this is, I like this. I like the sound of this because it sounds like a really good premise for what we're accustomed to when we see alien stuff, and that cannot be a bad thing. And honestly, Gabriel Hardman is pretty damn good at what he does. So we'll just have to see how this works out. I think it's going to be really cool.
Agreed.
Sound good.
Alrighty. That means that I'm up again. And for my second choice, I am going with Action Lab Entertainment, and it's Actionverse #7. And this is a start of a new story arc, but Stray has been in the first 6 issues, and he's out of the picture now, and Midnight Tiger is taking over the spotlight. A character that was created by Ray Anthony Heights, who also co-writes this issue with Vito De La Sante, with art by Eric Van Elsalande, and I know I butchered that, and I'm sorry about that, but I really liked reading what I had read before with Midnight Tiger. There was a miniseries that unfortunately did not get finished, but part of that was offered as a free comic book day several years ago, and I had read that, and there was a old school Spidey vibe to the character that I liked. So I'm excited to see Midnight Tiger get the spotlight again, and have a chance for new readers to pick up on him and hopefully enjoy him as well, and who knows what can come from that. So I'm excited.
Yep, should be fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm there with you.
Okay, and our honorable mention this week.
Alrighty, our honorable mention this week is actually something that that Image does every so often. Every few months, they gather up a bunch of first issues from the books that they publish, and they reprint them all, and they stick a dollar price tag on them. They not surprisingly, they refer to this as Image Firsts, and they've got like 8 titles that they're putting out, and I mean some of these are some of their big titles, some of their more successful ones. Redneck is one of them. Curse Words is another, and they're doing several of these, and I like to throw these out here when I can because it's $1 for a comic book. I mean, you're not going to find that very often, and these are successful comic books. These were comic books that have done well. These are series that have done well. So this is a great way to bring new readers in. So if you're at when you go to your shop to pick up your books, grab a few of these and hand them to your friends that you think might like them. That's the whole idea here, or as far as I'm concerned, that's the whole idea. I'm sure they have other things in mind, but it's a
go ahead. Well, I was just going to say it's a safe gamble. You know, the premise of the story may sound interesting, but you may not want to lay down the $3 or $4 it would cost to get the issue. Well, here's a you can get the same thing for $1, and then if you like it more, in a lot of cases, I'm pretty sure, I have not seen the list, there's a first volume. There's out already,
right?
Especially with Redneck, so there you can turn around and go ahead and pick up the trade, and then if you like it so much, you may add it to your pull list.
Mm-hmm. And the other cool thing about Image is their Volume 1 trades are all $9.99.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're not only you're getting Image 1, you're getting issue 1 for $1, and then you can be sure to get a good deal on that first trade, and hopefully at that point you're in. And that's kind of what I think, that's what Image is kind of gunning for here.
Right.
And as a side note, also this week their Image Plus anthology series is out, and part of why we wanted to throw this in here along with it is because their Image Plus, they charge $1.25 for that, and there are fun stories or parts of stories that you can also use to get a taste of some of the interesting stuff that's going on, some of the other books out there, and also maybe pull in some of your friends and let them see what's going on. And again, a great teaser to get people to buy more comics. What a great idea.
Yep. Totally agree. Okay. Now for the announcement that I teased earlier in the show. We are not going to have an episode next week due to several reasons. Unfortunately, we will not have one, but we will be back the following week. So I apologize for that, but it's beyond our control, and appreciate your understanding. Any special shout-outs or mentions this week?
Not me.
No.
Nothing here.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and do our regular shout-outs. First off to Manny the Martyr for supplying us the music for our podcast. Definitely want you to check out their music. We usually have a link in our show notes, so just go check them out. Shout out to the fine folks that make up Podern Family on Twitter for retweeting and spreading the word of the fellowship. It's always appreciated. You should definitely go check them out, and the easiest way to do that is to go to Twitter and do a search. Hashtag Podern Family is all one word. And just grab one and download it and check it out. You'll find some quality entertainment there. So thank you, guys, for helping us out there. And then finally, you, dear listener, thank you for downloading and listening to today's episode, and we always appreciate your support. We value your feedback. If you'd like to contact us with a question, comment, complaint, suggestion, observation, whatever, there are several ways you can do that. Email at thefellowshipofthegeeks.net would be the quickest way, or you can go to the website and click on the About Us tab, and there's a contact form that you can fill out there. You could follow us on social media. We are on Facebook, The Fellowship of the Geeks, and obviously we're on Twitter as well, at Fellowship Geeks. Feel free to follow us from both social medias. And if you'd like to follow us personally, we are on Twitter, or most of us are. Mike is at Mikey Geek. Liz is at Newman_L, and I'm at Tom TC Geek. And wherever you download and listen to our episodes, whether it's through iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, YouTube, iHeartRadio, or Spotify, if you take a few moments to rate our show, and a review would be awesome as well. We would be greatly appreciated. Any final thoughts before we say goodbye?
Just thanks, everybody.
No, thank you.
Appreciate you. I appreciate you listening.
Aloha.
Yeah.
We appreciate you checking us out, and we will see you here again real soon. Until next time, read more comics and support your local stores.
We thank you for listening to the show. Comments, suggestions, and questions can be sent to email at thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. You can follow us on Facebook at The Fellowship of the Geeks, and on Twitter at Fellowship Geeks. Until next time,